Russ Vought is our guest, one of the leaders of this movement to get to a balanced budget and to save not just the republic, but the dollar. Russ, are these, because you've been, the reason people love you, and you come on here, by the way, we got Jeff Clark on in the second hour, and he was amazing on the show on Saturday talking about the EPA and the electric vehicle and all this madness that's going on. Your group just does such a great job of being very straightforward with people. Is this cuts, real cuts, or are we just in the game of cutting the rate of spending? I see where we're going to go back to 2022 numbers, but that was increases over past years. It's one of the arguments against them. And then we're talking about slower growth rates. So in your mind, are we getting to real cuts here in the Leviathan's budget, sir?
This is real cuts. This is a going back to a 20% cut on non-defense, which I have to explain that when you keep Department of Homeland Security a little bit higher, you keep veteran spending, that's a non-defense agency. What does that amount to? That amounts to 30% cuts to the Department of Education, the Department of CRT. That amounts to 30% cuts to the NIH, which is funding Tony Fauci's gain-of-function research. CDC, that promulgated the pandemic that we know and bled for as a nation. 50% cuts to foreign aid, basically just leaving real diplomacy in place, that you don't have Bob Dylan statues in Mozambique or funding gay activists in Senegal, LGBT activists in Senegal. Over and over, you have examples of woke and weaponized government that we get rid of if we have a fight this year. That's $150 billion in the standpoint of trillions of dollars. Doesn't sound like that much, but that's what looks like 30% cuts to these agencies that will deal a mortal blow to the bureaucracy. And then you cap that and have only a slight growth that allows you to be able to keep funding defense or have closer to flat levels of funding for defense. You grow that for 10 years and you get $3.5 trillion of savings. Now, is that savings on the basis of how Washington, D.C. shows numbers? Yes, it is. But the way that Washington, D.C. also shows numbers is partly how we know we have $1 trillion and upwards of $2 trillion in deficits. And so we work within the current system. Part of it is totally screwed up based on anyone who's coming from a business or a normal field of accounting anywhere else. But we present to you the realness of those cuts and the best way to account for them. And we have $4.5 trillion of savings in this, I believe, and we're excited about that. And I think that's what people need to know. Yes, you're giving up something. You're giving a year limit extension. But what are you getting for in the standpoint of leverage when Biden needs this to pass? And I think if you're on the other side, and I love coming in here and getting skeptics because we need more skeptics in this country. The reason why I think you put forward something now is because if you hold back constantly and then the markets spook, you're only going to have 2 or 3 people that hold the line. You've got to be able to put forward, this is what we are for. And if that is what you're for, is actually what's needed to get the country in the right direction, I believe it is. Now you've got the moral high ground to be able to fight over the next several months with Biden.
And this will be a running fight all the way through 2024, the way it's structured. Russ, where do people, can they go to your site and actually get the breakdown in your language of exactly what we're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. If they go to AmericaRenewing.com, we have a fact sheet on the package, and they get my statements, and they can, of course, get me at all the social media channels at Russ Vought.
And particularly Getter and on Twitter, you're up all the time. I know that I'm with the hardcore war room. We're still not give a penny and do Russ Vought's prioritization of payments and massive cuts. But I like the direction of we're taking a stand and telling the moderates there can't be any commissions, that we got to stop all the nonsense. I just think that you give them the $1.5 million or next May, whatever comes first, given the collapse of the economy, it's going to be up on us again. If you approve this, we're going to be back at this right after the appropriations process. So the good news is we put this front and center. We also have to make sure they can't start to blame, the economy is slowing down because of this. The economy is not slowing down because of this. One of the reasons it's so tough to get to a deal here is because the economy is imploding. They just put 11 banks. Moody's just downgraded 11 banks and put them on watch, regional banks, because of the Biden disaster. So it's a disaster across the board. Russ, one more time, where do they go? Where do they go to find out your breakdown of this McCarthy plan?
AmericaRenewing.com is our website, and we'll do everything we can to highlight that breakdown